Greetings and welcome back to Switched to Linux. So today we are going to have a real quick look at the Linux Mint Mate 18.2 beta. A few people asked me to do a video on this, and I thought that this would be a nice quick video to just have a quick look at. Now, a disclaimer up front is that I do not use Mate a lot. It's a desktop that if Cinnamon wasn't out there and so good, from my perspective, I would probably use Mate more. You know, looking at the major desktops, you have, I'm not going to consider Unity a major desktop anymore, but you have Cinnamon, you have GNOME, you have KDE, you have Mate, you have, LXDE, XFCE. There's some other ones sprinkled throughout, but I think that those are your major ones. And of the desktops, I like the Cinnamon desktop the most because it is a nice modern setup that's essentially just like the Windows setup. Of course, Mate does this very same thing, and when I was experimenting with Linux, had I seen Mate before seeing Linux Mint Cinnamon, I might be a Mate guy. It's just a matter of what was out there and what existed at the time, and what was easy to find. In my case, I was looking for an alternative to the Windows operating system, but I wasn't looking for diverging out into something else as much as I was looking for something that would allow me to jump productivity from one system that I'm already familiar with to another system. Without having to stop and learn a lot of things in between. And that's the reason I landed on Linux Mint Cinnamon, is because Cinnamon being the main build of the Linux Mint team, and Linux Mint just worked. Out of the box, the thing just worked. It had a setup that was just what I wanted. I could get this thing set up. And the reason that is significant is when you are relying on your computer for work, if your computer goes down, you may not have a day to fix it. And that's one of the problems on Windows is, if a Windows computer goes down, you're looking at a whole day to get the thing up and running. If a Linux machine goes down and you're used to working on Linux and you have a good backup strategy, you probably won't even lose more than 20 minutes. If worst case scenario, you can download a live key and run a live key off of all of your data saved to an external USB hard drive, in that respect. But the thing is that I have a Windows 7 computer that is, at this point in time, the better part of a decade old, and eventually the thing is going to stop working. Whether it falls out of support or whether it just stops working, one of those two things is going to happen. And I don't have a day or two to mess around. I want to have another computer ready to go as soon as that thing breaks. And this computer is it. So I also do, this is also my backup video computer. It's my backup web design computer. And it is actually my whole kitchen studio computer. A lot of things this thing does. But this guy here is the backup. And I needed a system that was very much like Windows. And so what I used with it is, I first installed Ubuntu, but since Ubuntu is not, like Windows, I looked around for other things, and I just happened to find Linux Mint Cinnamon, and that's why I went with it. Had I found Ubuntu Mate, I very well could have done that. So, the cards may fall where it is, but that's the reason I'm a Linux Mint Cinnamon guy. So, with that being said, we're just going to have a quick look here at the Mate changes. So, of course, here is your Mate computer, or your Mate release here, where they talked about this. Now, if you're more familiar with Mate, and I assume that most people who are watching this are probably more familiar with Mate than I am, so, I think the most significant thing that you have with Mate is this is 1.18 of the Mate, so built entirely on GTK3. Everything else here is actually essentially the same. The Blueberry was updated in Cinnamon Edition. You can check out my video I did 2 days ago, and I go in more detail about a lot of this stuff. One of the things we're going to look at, though, differently today is I actually put computers on here, and I actually put a video on here so that we can have a look at the UI changes that were on there, because I had referenced the UI changes. We talked about them, but I didn't actually have photos ready to go. This time I already pre-installed it, so we're not going to walk through the installation process, and we should be all set to go. And so what we're going to do here is look down here at the bottom, see if there's anything else, and I'm pretty sure there's not. So pretty much the only real difference from the cinnamon version is, you know, the Mate specific things. Everything else here is the same as far as the changes. And what this basically means is, oh, here's something that's different. This video here is going to have some extra cat in it because the last video I did on the cinnamon did not have cat in it. There was no cat in that video. It was horrible. So this video has cat. In fact, all the pictures I picked are cat pictures. So, you know, we have extra cat. You will get a chance to see what this guy looked like as a kitty. So stick around and you'll see what this guy looked like when he was a little baby kitten. Let's see if there's anything else. Let's see. We already talked about the Brasaro. Root account is now locked by default. You can use sudo with your own password to become root. I guess that's a little bit different. The cinnamon one, which kind of irritated me, they're like the root account has a random password assigned. Unless maybe they changed the blog post. Let's go back and have a look at the blog post. See if that changed or not. So I know that was one of the things I criticized, is they gave you a random sudo password and a root password. I really want to know the root password. I don't want some random root password. I want control over that thing. And if they're concerned about this, then maybe they should do what Fedora does, where you can set a root password separate than you can set the other password. Okay, so they did change this. So they actually did change this blog post. It used to say it has a random password assigned. Now it says the root account is now locked by default. You can use sudo with your own password to become root with sudo I. So I'm guessing, I mean, if you're a terminal guy, you can take control back on it. I think that for the average user, this is probably not going to be anything significant. It's just a little disconcerting for me that they would, lock the root account out. It's just a little weird to me. App now supports mark auto and mark manual commands to mark packages as being installed respectively, automatically or manually. Okay, I don't remember if that was in there the other day either. That might have been, but okay. And of course, they mentioned down here the long-term strategy, or the long-term support is this is going to be supported until 2021. So, if you're using this, that's the case. Let's see. Of course, here's your Mate 1.18 release. Again, I don't use Mate much, so I really don't have much frame of reference for what's different from one thing to the other. So here, what I did is I grabbed a video that I know is a video that I will not have any issues pushing play on, although we're not going to watch it. It's just a sermon. I just happen to know that everything from this guy's ministries are free downloads, so nobody should have a problem if I grab that. And I grabbed the cat folders. You're going to have to tune in later for me to load up this cat folder. Anyway, here's what we get. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background just to make the background on this a little bit different than the one I was doing the other day. If I can change the background. Oh, maybe I should put a cat on the background. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. We seem to be stuck. There we are. That was doing something weird. Hey, there we are. All right. Huh. We have a perfectly black background. There we go. This looks like a Mac now. All right. Yeah, we don't want a Mac, do we? So they did reference having some nice new photographs in here, so you can have a look at these. Wasn't this one of those photographs very similar to one of the ones that was on the original, like at least iOS like 6 or something? Very nice backgrounds. I usually still prefer to use my own backgrounds. Let's see. This is a fun one here. I think I use this one in another Linux Mint Mate, so Maybe I'll do this one this time. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do this background. All right. So other things on the theme, we have various theme options here. We have the mint wide dark, mint wide darker. I'm never quite sure why the darker happens to be lighter than the dark. Like this is the dark, this is the darker. I think, was that a goof up somewhere? Did somebody mess that up? Of course, the let's see. The one thing I really don't like is the icon packs being shown. Let me see if I can remember where I can change the icons from. I can do GNOME. Make some better high contrast. Oh, there's Mate icons. What's this one? Menta. Let's do the Mate icons because, hey, Mate. Why not, right? I wonder if that's what my Ubuntu Mate is running. So as far as the setup is concerned, with this, you know, like I said, this is one of the reasons I really, Mate would be my second choice is because it is set up very much like Windows. You know, I don't want a lot of stuff in the way. Other than this computer here, I got a lot of stuff going all over the place. Which I don't mind for that computer's for media type stuff, just like playing media, things like that. Quick jumping back and forth on various websites and things. But as far as my production computers, I want something that's just kind of out of my way a little bit. And that's just why I like the setup how it is. So we're going to have a look at one of the things that they had changed is when you play a video, pretty much everything was UI changes. So here as we're playing a video, you can see that now everything is all in line. This used to be the controls were down below the scroll icon went all the way across. So this condenses it down quite a bit, which is actually very nice. We have a playlist here. I'm wondering one of the things let's see. Move down. What I'm wanting to see is let's see, there's controls, which I can turn off my controls, of course. I don't know how I turn them back on now. Well, that's exciting. Help! Where are my controls? Hey, show controls. Good. The next thing, this is what I was commenting on that I was not able to see on computers in the past, but here you can see I'm seeing a playlist. What I really want to see is the codec information for the file. In theory, it should be here somewhere. I just have no idea where it is. See, maybe it's under preferences, display, resize. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'll just do a few internet searches, see if I can find it. But if you were watching the video yesterday, you'll see when I loaded up my Switch to Linux intro shot, when I viewed this panel over here, I was able to see the codec information, the title, length, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of important stuff for me. Right now, all I get is the playlist. I never use playlists on these things. There you go. There's properties. That's what I was looking for. So now, if I wanted the playlist, I'm glad I have properties back. How do I get playlists now? So I kind of still like to see a little bit of change to these things as far as making it easier to go back and forth. I think it was on, I forget what system it was on. I don't remember if it was Linux or Windows, where I always used it just to grab codec information about the files. So that's just kind of what I wanted to see. Let's see. Let me just go ahead and double click that again. So that once again gets me back to the codec information. So it's great I have this information. The downside is if I do happen to want playlist, how do I go back to that? So that's kind of one of those things that I'd still like to see a little bit better. But I do like the UI is quite a bit cleaned up here. It is more condensed. You know, they've saved they've saved quite a bit of space here just by condensing that down. And the other thing I did not look at is the last time is the Pix program. And this one here is not one that I've used much at all. And so I really don't have a frame of reference for how this has changed or not. But I thought you guys might... this is one of the things I don't like about Mate, is it's just so hard to grab those corners. All right. So here is when I was first thinking about getting this little kitty right here. That's the little kitty picture when I saw him in the garage. And it was love at first sight, right, buddy? Right? Yeah? Yeah? What do you think? Yeah? Do you like your baby pictures? He's like a teenager. Would you just turn that thing off? But then, of course, you know, the kitty had to go to sleep. Anyone else just want to rub that little belly? Rub the belly. And I got the two kitties playing. Let me turn that off so I don't get a community strike for playing some song. Oh, they were so nice. The cat's now looking at the video. He's like, whoa, what's that? Look at those two. You can tell that the mostly orange one is the older cat. She's about 2 years older. The cat is literally like looking at this. This is hilarious. Look at this. The cat's just like, whoa, what's going on here, yo? He is entertained. Oh, man. Here's some other playing pictures. Oh, look at that. Ferocious. Ferocious. And then one of probably my favorite picture of all. Oh, he's a very cute bookend. Right? Are you a very cute bookend? Yeah? You a very cute bookend? All right. Good thing I'm not running XFCE, man. He'd destroy the screen for that. But you can go back here. You can quickly navigate to things, quickly spot the, you know, where the guys are. There's some cat pictures. Let's see. Oh, this was a good one here. Yep, the cat found a squirrel. Look at that. This one's... Oh, we got a crash. Something crashed. Pix crashed. This one here is sideways, but it's just nice and hilarious. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm playing. Uh-oh. Cat sees the dot on the screen. This is not good for the computer screen. All right. So let's see. We've looked at the Pix. We've looked at that. Let's see. What else has changed over here? As we said, just all of the various players, media stuff, the built-in generic media stuff just has had some UI refreshments. There's really nothing else seriously significant. If you do use Bluetooth, it might be worth updating if you've had any issues with your Bluetooth devices, because they did fix the Bluetooth in theory. And then as far as everything else is concerned, this is not a major refresh or anything. This is not anything, no packages have been changed. They changed some UI, they increased the kernel, and increasing the kernel was significant for this because a lot of people had complained that Linux Mint runs an old kernel. So they did bring the kernel pretty far up to date. There's probably still newer ones. You Arch guys are like, yeah, you're still using that kernel. That was like from a month ago. But that's all good. We're Mint. We're more conservative. The Mint guys, we're more conservative. We're just into work and production. We want a computer that doesn't crash every other day. I mean, come on. But overall, what I'm seeing here, once again, final assessment is that if this were a video, if I were building a computer for somebody or changing the operating system for somebody, yeah, I'd run this, no problem. Would I upgrade a perfectly fine working one to it? Probably not, unless you are really hurting for space and those UI condensement changes are really going to help you out. It's probably not worth your the time to update. Or maybe you want to run a more recent kernel. It's not working for you as well when you upgrade the kernel. Maybe refreshing to this will get you a better, more up-to-date kernel without any other issues. So, that's kind of it. There's it's a great system. It's a great refresh. It's good to see they're not, they're just streamlining some UI things. Working out some bug changes, changing the Mate desktop. Nothing major outside of that. So, with all that being said, for more information and more detail about the changes, check out the video that I did on Tuesday, like 2 days ago, and that one's on Linux Mint 18.2 Beta Cinnamon Edition. I have a lot more to say about that as well, just because I use Cinnamon every day on a few different computers, and so I have a little bit better frame of reference for what's changed, what's not. This one here, of course, it's always had the thing that I like where it can adjust the icons. I can move things around without a big deal. So, this has always had that. It's good to, maybe. Yeah, okay, it does. It's good to see the Cinnamon desktop. They did finally get icon arrangement as an option, so that's good. All right, so with that is what we had to talk about here today. If you do like this channel and you would like to help support what we are doing, you can check us out over there on Patreon. And I will be getting back to a regular Patreon schedule of posting things either over the weekend. Actually, not this weekend. I'm extremely busy this weekend. But starting next week, we'll start doing regular posts again. And I am just about ready to get that cooking channel launched. So that's kind of what's been taking my extra time that I otherwise would be putting a few more things up on Patreon. But you can check me out over there. There are also links to Amazon down below if you want to have a look at that. And that is what we're doing. From here, we are doing a Friday night live stream at, it looks like it's going to be 9 o'clock this weekend, like tomorrow, Friday, whatever you're watching this, I don't know, but Friday 9 or 11, this one's 9. And then tinfoil hat time, 9 o'clock on Sunday. And it does look like right now Saturday I will be off. So don't be looking for a video then. So we will talk to you later. And I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.